Top of the hour. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Ana Cabrera reporting from New York, and we're following breaking news out of Washington on the Jeffrey Epstein case. The House Oversight Committee has just issued subpoenas for about a dozen of the very highest level former government officials, including former attorneys general from the past four administrations, up to former President Clinton. Republican James Comer, chair of that committee, also filed a subpoena to the Justice Department for records related to Epstein. And this move comes after the House left early, you'll recall, for summer recess, specifically to avoid a vote that would have demanded the release of the Epstein files. And joining us now, NBC News Chief Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles, and here in New York, former federal prosecutor Barrett Berger. Ryan, tell us more about these subpoenas and how Oversight settled on this list.
Well, this is not a surprise, Anna. Right before the August recess, and you're right, it was during the midst of a pretty contentious back and forth between the base of the Republican Party and the Republican leadership about the broader release of the Epstein files. The House Oversight Committee's, one of their subcommittees, during a conversation about a completely different topic, brought up this issue of the Epstein files, and Democrats attempted to force Republicans to vote on the release of those files. Republicans wanted to vote yes, but they also wanted other concessions from Democrats, and that was to bring in this long list of some of the most high-ranking officials who are in positions of power, who had the ability to investigate the Epstein saga over the course of the period of time in which Epstein was accused of making these crimes. And you see on this list, we're talking about attorneys general from that date all the way back to the Bush administration and Alberto Gonzales, also William Barr, Jeff Sessions, and others who were in positions of power during this period of time throughout the Epstein saga. Now, these are subpoenas, so that means they are compelled to testify under law. The question is, how does this process play itself out? They are expected to be closed-door depositions to start. There is also the possibility that the representatives from these different former officials will attempt to negotiate some sort of an agreement with the committee about the form of their testimony and the way that it will be used. That remains a possibility. They could also fight the subpoena in court if it came to that. But this is the beginning of a process in which the Oversight Committee seems very persistent in their pursuit of this information related to Jeffrey Epstein. Anna?
Barrett, how long could it take the DOJ to respond to this subpoena? Do they have to comply?
They do have to comply. It's compulsory, but my guess is they will have a response, because right now we really have a race to disclosure here. We have this happening on the political front with the House subpoena. We also have this happening on the judicial front. We have the DOJ, who has been moving through the court process to get certain grand jury information unsealed. We have them reviewing the file, seeing what needs to be redacted. So it seems like the one thing that we can be certain of is that there is going to be much more information coming out. We just don't know how quickly that's going to happen.
Well, and it seems like the House, at least, is trying to get public testimony from some of these former officials, in addition to the documents it's asking for from the DOJ. I guess when it comes down to it, do you think we'll actually hear from any of these officials, given their reluctance to play ball in the past, especially among the Trump administration in the last term?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting group. They've certainly cast a very wide net, and you have people from all political parties being subpoenaed to come. Will the public ever hear this information? That's unclear. As of right now, these are supposed to be closed-door depositions. So whether that information becomes public officially, I don't know. Generally speaking, we have seen a lot of leaks in the past. We could imagine that, because this is happening in a political sphere as opposed to in a court of law, information may trickle down. I don't know. I would imagine that most of these officials right now will certainly be working with their counsel to try to narrow down the scope of whatever information they would be providing, perhaps to try to provide some sort of written affirmation or declaration instead of actually showing up for testimony. But it will be interesting to see what comes out.
And just following up really quick on something you said about stuff getting made public. So even if the DOJ does comply, hands over some kind of Epstein files to the House, to this committee specifically, would they be made public?
Not necessarily. I mean, again, let's start from the base that these DOJ files contain, there's not sort of one type of document in there, right? So certain documents, it may be very easy to make them public. Certain documents may have all sorts of identifying information about victims, may have certain information that can't be released to the public for security reasons. So I don't know that we should expect that just because information is being made available to the House, that it will be made available to the public.
All right, Bear Berger, thank you. Ryan Nobles, thanks for that reporting.